Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bonfire Racing Network. We are here in the racing or the center of racing in the world at Daytona International Speedway. I know I butchered that terribly, but I don't really care. But I'm not alone today. I'm here joined by Cold Funky Medina, David Medina Sr. from the Bonfire Premier Cup League, two-time champion. David, you excited to be here tonight?
Absolutely. Daytona, right in my backyard, 45-minute drive. So, George, I have to come up here and be here with you. So, appreciate you opening the door and letting me in the booth. I wasn't sure if you would open the door or not, but thanks for letting me in.
Yeah, not an issue, man. It's always more fun with more guys in the booth. But we're here at the 2.5 mile super speedway in Daytona, Florida. Ambient temperature is 78 degrees. Track temp is close to it at 79 degrees. But we are here in qualifying, and I'm not sure who's all put down a lap or who the fastest is.
Yeah,
Or
looks
if,
like Paul just getting his warm up lap in. So we have a couple of guys out there getting their first laps in.
we'll ride on board with Paul and we'll try and get as much as we can. But right now, Grant McGivern on pole with a 51.6. See if he can hold on to that. Uh, early, early here in qualifying, so we'll have to see. Usually, the first lap is the quickest on these super speedways and these trucks. But you gotta hold a
Yeah,
pretty wheel on the bottom.
yeah, exactly. It takes a little bit to get these things, get these trucks going. But yeah, like you said, you want to get close to that yellow line. You don't want to be on top of that yellow line because it'll slow you down. But you want to be right up snug next to it, ride that thing all the way around, and get that best lap time in. And so far, David Owens topped the chart at 51.638. I'll get that straightened out.
Yeah, well, I'm showing Paul Ferniani on pole with a 51.56. We saw him cut the apron there on the tri-oval, which is legal for qualifying, but not in the race. You cannot pass below that double yellow line. Normal super speedway rules apply. As David Owen's going to come across the start-finish line. See if he can beat Paul Ferniani. I don't see any improvement. So David Owen's going to have to settle out for 6 as we have more guys still qualifying, like Sam Milliken in the 17.
Yeah, we got
Race.
a big field here tonight, so it's gonna be interesting to see how these guys shake out. But this is one of those tracks that qualifying is just not that big of a deal, right? You can ride in the back. You'll see some probably you might see some guys that at the start of the race they might opt out with the first lap or two and decide to go to the back or mid pack and get away from the front side of it. So this is just one of those tracks that you can do that and not hurt yourself.
Yeah, but you got to keep a hold of that lead draft, David.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to stay in that lead drive. So how you do that, is really crucial as to how you fall to the back. You don't want to, do something abruptly and then, like you said, lose that draft, and then you're riding around this big track, over 2 mile track by yourself, and that's no fun at all.
Well, Kevin Kyle went to the top of the board there, or second on the outside pole with a 51.60. As I'm trying to load in his paint scheme at the moment, he's just a blank car. But Kevin Kyle, one of your teammates, new winner in the Bonfire Premier Cup Series there at Chicago. So probably a lot of momentum in that number 1 car.
Yeah, that first win is always the toughest one. You start doubting yourself, you start doubting whether you actually could do it, and then you get that win, and it just builds a lot of confidence. And so I kind of expect Kevin to have that confidence coming in here. He's a good driver, great to have him on the team. He's been a great addition, just overall great guy. So look forward to seeing what he can do today.
Well, Kevin Kyle went on to pole with a 51.55. That's a really good time in the decimal section, just in my opinion. But Nate Maurer going into third with a 51.60 as well. We saw Kevin Kyle pull that lap out for his first lap. We'll see if Nate Maurer can combat that.
Yeah, there's some really good times that they're putting down running solo. So yeah, be curious to see if anybody's able to take that spot away. We still got quite a few guys that haven't qualified yet. AJ is another one of them that haven't qualified yet. So we'll see what he can do. David Brenner, running double duty today. So Yeah, we've got some fast cars still left to run. We'll see how they do.
With 3 minutes left in qualifying, Nate Maurer, does he improve? Doesn't look like it. He was 500 slower that second lap, which doesn't seem like a lot of time just sitting in the stands, but in the driver's seat, that almost feels like a second being off just by half a tenth.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much, right? All you got to do is just miss that mark just by a little bit, and it just costs you over a 2.4 mile track.
Well, David Brenner putting his first lap down. It's a 52.04, so hopefully he can improve. With AJ Binish now also putting down a lap, he went a 51.65. That top 10 is less than a tenth of a second away from each other. That's how competitive it is here in qualifying in Daytona.
Yep, driver's instructions, going on. So Dennis Puckett filling in for Owens right now, or not Owens, but Brenner or Buell. David
Buell.
Buell. So many Davids in there, but yeah, filling in for him and giving the driver's instructions and stuff. So still a little bit of time left for these guys to get it, but show about 1:40. But if they're going to qualify, they need to go ahead and get on the track and do so. But you'll see some guys that won't. I mean, that's where I say that qualifying just isn't that important. But if a wreck happens in front of you, it's real easy, and the caution doesn't come out. It's real easy to lose that draft.
Well, we both know it from the exhibition race that was held here, David. It's a blessing and a curse being or not qualifying and being in the back. You can, if there's an early wreck, you can miss it. But if it stays green, it's going to be going up a flight of stairs trying to get to the front.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the first pit stop's going to be interesting too, right? Because there's so much time to be gained if you can come into the pit carrying as much speed as possible without going over. But there's also a lot of time to lose. It's real easy to lock them up and overshoot your mark. The next thing you know, you get busted for speeding.
Well, I have a chat here in the YouTube chat from Paul Ferdiani, David, and it says, "Is David as good in the booth as he is on track?"
I think time will tell. I'm not really sure, so I guess we'll see what the feedback on that is.
I'm sure it'll all be good in the end. As we got the last 30 seconds here in qualifying, I believe everybody that wanted to run has ran. Good a chunk amount of cars that did not qualify. I believe maybe 9 of them did not qualify. Matt Schofield from England was going to put down a lap, but I think gave up and wanted to start in the back of the field.
Yeah, and we got some other teammates in here too. So we'll see like Chris Morrow, for example, is in here. He's a teammate of Kevin Kyle Fulcum. So it'll be interesting to see how these teammates are able to work, getting together and trying to team up and work the draft together. So some work to do for Chris Morrow to get up with Kevin Kyle, but that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, we're starting to grid up here in Daytona as Kevin Kyle's paint scheme is still not loading for me. Sure, it's a pretty good paint scheme, so I definitely would want to try and get it in here.
Yeah, not showing up on mine either, so it might be something on his end.
I don't know how you can lead the field here in Daytona with no paint scheme. Maybe you couldn't get sponsorship for this race.
Well, maybe just I show him in a white truck, so maybe he's just trying to be incognito here and not be identifiable. But I think we'll be able to spot him just by the only truck we don't have a paint scheme on.
Yeah, you were talking about Chris Morrow and Pim Luth being in the field, teammates to Kevin Kyle. It's going to be interesting to see if Kevin can get those teammates up front with those guys starting in the back.
Yeah, that's the thing. Here you don't want to make enemies. You want to make as many friends as possible. And then early, what I'd like to do is try to find out who you can work with, right? Who's a good pusher? Because you want to be a good pusher, because then you make friends. But you also want to be able to find who else is a good pusher with you. And side drafting, that's another big key to this track.
Yeah, we heard it from David Owens today with the new draft package here. It's almost like the Cup cars or the Gen 7 cars. When you side draft, it wants to suck that truck that you're side drafting right up to your front bumper and could possibly spin them out. So we'll have to see if those drivers can know that or aware of that, or who knows, maybe we'll get an early wreck here.
Yeah, I ran some laps here in practice just to get a feel for what these drivers are going to go through, and that was one thing I did as well was some side drafting, and it's a really good tool to use, but you got to be cautious with it, right? If you side draft somebody who's not used to it, the caution will fly out because we'll have a big one.
Trying to set up qualifying order, but there it goes. It's starting to do it now. So yeah, Kevin Kyle starting on pole, beat Paul Ferniani by only 11 hundredths of a second for that pole position. Then it's David Brenner, Jax Duvall from Gulf Coast Racing, followed by Nate Maurer and Graham McGivern in that third row. Zach Engel and Chris Smith in that fourth row, followed by AJ Binish and Sam Ballard. AJ defending champ here on Big Truckin' Tuesday. And then I believe it's David Owen, Stephen Neal in that sixth row, followed by Sam Milliken, Matthew Smith, Dennis Puckett, Chris Sargent, who is all alone with no teammates out there today. Interesting to see if he can get himself up front, followed by Steve Lewis, Mark Dumont, Joseph Amato in that 19th spot, with Doug Neal rounding out your top 10 rows.
Yeah, like you said, Surgeon's going to have some work to do to try and find somebody he can work with and is willing to work with him. I know you made some comments about that. Just keep it as clean as possible and make some friends on the track, and that's the key to this thing. Is make some friends, and drafting partners. That's all this Daytona track is about. Is finding a good drafting partner. In the high lane, the high lane has been an area that's been really good to race on. You can get a good momentum coming off of 4, and so coming to the end, we'll see how that works out with the guys trying to run side by side.
Well, the field now in turns 3 and 4, those pace car lights are off, so we are gonna open the bag of worms here and let these drivers go at it. It's gonna be 75 laps the distance here in Daytona. Who knows? It's gonna be unpredictable. We have no idea what's coming. Nobody's really stuck out to be the class of the field with these fixed setups, but I'm sure it's going to be one heck of a show, as it's Kevin Kyle and Paul Ferniani going into that Geico restart zone. Barney the Flagman going to start them off. Green flag up in the air. We're racing in Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're already getting the bumper to bumper at the start of the race. Good start by Kevin Kyle. Followed closely, by I think that's Brenner. Right behind Kevin Kyle is Brenner, staying right on his bumper, staying glued. So we'll see how they can separate. But I expect these guys to be able to stay pretty close, and you see the outside line starting to get a little bit run, and then 971 starting to drop back.
Yeah, that's Nate Maurer in the 971, so he's going to drop to the back. Wasn't on that pole position, so can't get that bonus point for leading a lap just quite yet. He's going to try and survive for another fight.
Yeah, that's the great thing about this track, right? He can do exactly what Nate did, drop back a little bit, stay in the draft, and try and stay out of trouble and stay in this race, until some of the cautions come out and then make a run towards the end.
Well, we see Jax Duvall fighting with Paul Ferniani on that outside roll to get Paul up front. 2 cars going against the whole bottom lane, it seems like. The bottom lane's kind of not so stacked up from AJ on back, but looks like Jax Duvall is shoving that rear bumper of Paul Ferniani pretty hard with Graham McGivern in the 33 behind them.
Yeah, if Graham can tighten that up a little bit and get closer to that truck in front of him, though, that outside lane will definitely gain some momentum.
So you're right on board with a 33. We can see that fight for the lead as Paul Ferniani has almost cleared Kevin Kyle, but I think he's going to try and bring Jax Duvall with him. He's not going to leave that 84 out to dry this early in the race. Oh, had a lift.
Yeah, they got to just kind of regain their composure and stuff, but yeah, that was almost a moment there for the 44.
Well, Zach Engel on the 47 thought about going to the outside of David Brenner, but thought better of it with no help. So single file is your top 6. AJ looking to see if that outside lane can generate a run back there in the 6th position. But Paul Ferniani going to the apron. It looks like he's pitting.
It does look like he must have had some kind of issue.
Not sure what's going on with the 44 of Paul Ferniani, but he is coming down pit road. Be interesting to see if he's just driving through. So not sure what happened there with the 44, but he did do a drive-through. That's going to set him back a decent amount of time here on the super speedway. As we see,
it's gonna cost him a lot of time because he's gonna be running by himself, so he won't have the assistance of the draft to help him speed-wise. So I guess he's decided just to get out of all this and wait for a caution to happen, and hopefully he doesn't lose a lap, doing what he's done.
yeah, Dennis Puckett moved out there to the outside there in the 7th position. He's going to try and get up to David Owens and AJ Binish with Matthew Smith, Lance Durham, and Stephen Neal in the 45 behind them. Try and get this outside line moving. Try and get some track position here early.
AJ and Owens getting a run on the outside. Owens is going to give him a good shove. And then Kevin Kyle's getting the push on the inside line.
David Brenner and David Owens, both teammates from Gulf Coast Racing, controlling that second row. Looked like David wanted to look for a move to the outside, but I think he's going to try and push AJ to the lead and slide right in front of Kevin Kyle.
Owens goes to the inside, and now we have, we got a wreck.
Oh, Dennis Puckett getting spun in front of the whole field. There we go. It all started with Dennis Puckett, Kevin Kyle, and I see a whole bunch of body parts. I see the front bumper. I don't know whose front bumper that is, but I'm seeing multiple pieces fly and bounce through the air still. Kevin Kyle kind of getting that rear bumper of Dennis Puckett. I don't see any damage on that all-white car, but I'm going to go back and look to see how that all started with Dennis Puckett. If I can, there we go. So Dennis tries to come down, kind of gave up, ran the middle, and Kevin just getting into the back of him. Multiple cars involved with the 114 of Mark Dumont involved in that one. David Brenner also involved.
This is gonna give Paul a reset with his driving down pit road, so he'll be able to catch back up and see how it plays out for him. But yeah, that was one that could have been a lot worse with it happening up front. So good job by everybody avoiding that as much as possible.
Yeah, we're going to try and go on board with David Brenner through that wreck. Get it set up here. Well, there's Dennis Puckett from his view. Here we are with David Brenner now. Wreck happens in front of him. Brenner kind of gets some help from behind. Somebody gets into the back of him. Not sure who it was. But definitely a lot of cars involved here for our first yellow of the night here in Daytona. Now, David, do you come down pit road to get an extra 7 laps worth of fuel? I guess it depends on who comes and who goes. It looks like everybody behind Kevin Kyle is going to come down pit road and get some fuel.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at, was to see who was going to come down, and looks like from the 5th position back, quite a few guys decided to come back and get some fuel. So they're playing long strategy here.
Yeah, a lot of guys down pit road. It looks like only 7 cars stayed out.
Yeah, it's obviously a mixture of guys getting fuel and guys getting repairs. But this is one of those tracks that tires are just generally not an issue for you. So they're gonna fuel up, come back out, and try to run longer than everybody else.
Well, David Owens up into the lead here in Daytona, followed by AJ Binish and Matthew Smith, your top 3. Looks like David Brenner still down pit road. He's going to be possibly 2 laps down here after that wreck. Dennis Puckett still in pits getting some repairs done. He's still on the lead lap at the moment. But I believe those drivers involved were Zach Engel, Stephen Neal, Dennis Puckett, David Brenner, Mark Dumont.
Going to make for a long race for some of these guys now. Early caution, some damage to some of these guys already a couple laps down. It's going to make for a long race for them. So hopefully they tough it out, make the finish the best they can at this point.
We got some fans in the chat. We've got Jeff Milliken from Kansas City saying he's watching, and series admin David Beal saying that hurt. I think he's talking about more of those race cars than the drivers. Then we got fans for David Owens, and yeah, we got a couple fans in the chat. So thank you guys for watching live here. We definitely makes it a fun time here in the booth.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely appreciate everybody joining. And once again, appreciate Jared doing this broadcast. And so if you enjoy the broadcast, go ahead and give Jared that thumbs up. He does a fantastic job broadcasting here. So Jared, appreciate you always doing that.
I always have a fun time here up in the booth watching these races live, not knowing what's going to happen. I do miss being in the car, but these guys wanted a broadcast and figured I'd give it to them.
The rest of the field's starting to catch back up to the lead field, starting to get sorted out 2 by 2. I show 1 to green.
Yeah, pace car lights are off, so we will be going back racing this time around. Paul Ferdiani going to round out the back of the field in front of Fred Lester. So Paul having a lucky break there, not going a lap down before that yellow came out. So. But it does look like Mark Dumont is out of the car, and that car's been pushed to the garage area.
Yeah, unfortunate early exit for him. That's just the downside of super speedway racing. Such high speeds, 190 miles an hour. When you do wreck and get damaged, sometimes it's terminal. You just can't fix it.
A lot of space in between David Owens and that pace car. Pretty interesting enough. Not sure. Usually I like sucking up to the back of that pace car and being as close as possible because I'm ready to get going. So.
Yeah.
But David Owens probably going to take off at the last possible moment. Try not to get a huge gap as green flag back up in the air. We're racing in Daytona again. Even start for the 5 and the 11. Those two are going to be going side by side. I think now it's just a race for that second row who can get to the car in front first.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw the 5 come down a little bit. Maybe tried to get a little side draft on Owens to slow him down and give Kevin Kyle a chance to get to his bumper. So pretty evenly spaced between Kevin and Kyle and the 96 truck. So looks like the outside line will get a run.
Yeah, and I believe that was Lance Durham in the 91 who jumped up to that top lane along with the 06 of Chris Sargent running up there in the top 10 now. Somebody who's always good to see here in the Bonfire Big Truckin' Tuesdays is the 920 of Pitt Maloof there. Broadcaster for a while there for the Bonfire Premier Cup Series. Great guy from the Netherlands, always a character. And a little bit of a rivalry between me and him.
Yeah, definitely good to see him on the track and racing. And I'll tell you, these guys up the front row doing a good job running side by side with each other. Just got to be careful. If you're the pusher, you got to be sure that when you are behind them trying to push down the bumper, that you are square. Prime example is that 96 getting to David Owens' bumper. Did a great job there, staying nice and square.
Yeah, Kevin Kyle moving around there on the top. I think just doesn't know where he's going. It's always hard to tell when you're that close to the rear bumper of somebody of where you're at on track.
Yeah, and you have all that aero, that air moving around your truck, and so sometimes it does, kind of push when you don't expect it to. So that's where it's a little bit hard to kind of gauge that, right? And so when you're coming into the corners as well, when you're that close to the truck in front of you, it really blocks your view. So you have to use pinpoint markers on the wall and stuff to kind of gauge your entry.
Well, we see a lot of the guys there in the back part of the field running that top lane, but I think they're just going to try and follow where the closest car goes to get back up front. As it's
see AJ drop in front of David Owens as soon as he got the opportunity. Wasn't sure if he was going to go up and try and block Kevin Kyle's run, but he did not.
Yeah, we see that a lot in real life, cars moving around the racetrack. Not really in sim. Everybody usually tries to fight for that bottom, but usually if you can get to that outside, you kind of stay there. Further back, I believe that was Nate Maurer moving back and forth, trying to find a decent spot on the track. We see him going below that double yellow.
Yeah, that's pretty treacherous there, going down below that double yellow line. You can easily just kind of push upward with that truck on the outside. The guys did a great job just being able to control the truck.
Well, your top 14 double file, it seems like, all the way back to, I believe that's Paul Ferniani in the 44, trying to make his comeback. AJ Benish holding out strong there in the front. There's a little bit of a blink for Chris Smith there in the 37.
Definitely working up the field right now.
Yeah, but now he's stuck where they're 2x2 and nowhere to go. Morris has got to watch out there in the 69 car, leaving that middle open, because I believe Nate will be one of those guys to use it as an opportunity to stick you to the outside and get you out of the draft.
Absolutely. Got Nate dropping back. That's the interesting about this thing. You can go ahead and try and work your way up just to kind of gauge how long does it take, what will it take to work up, and then that looks like what Nate's doing. He's just kind of testing the waters as to how long will it take for me to try and move around to get to the front. As we see the 5 giving the 7 a good shot there.
Yeah, new leader Edward Peltz in the number 7. Not sure how he got his way up there. He must have made a 3-wide move on Kevin Kyle.
Yeah, it looks like Owen just kind of dropped back a little bit, so I'm not sure if he just had a little issue there, and Owen just opened enough door for the 7 to come on down.
Go back to that pass for the lead. So try and get the camera set up here. Maybe. There we go. Yeah, it just went to the inside of Kevin Kyle, pushed him so far up that Edward was able to clear himself and get in front of AJ there. As Kevin Kyle now is getting really close to the door of the 5 AJ Benish.
Yeah, really working that side draft to be able to keep up with the front two cars. So you see him just about every corner, just dipping down, get that left corner panel on the right corner panel, rear corner panel of the 5 to slow him down. Not gonna be able to do it on this turn.
And it almost looked like AJ pushed Edwards up the racetrack just enough as Kevin Kyle got a little loose there from a shove from the 91. Edward almost leaving the bottom open for AJ to sneak down underneath.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see, Kevin Kyle, he's been towards the front, either first or second place, leading either the inside or outside line, and see how that's going to affect him as far as how many laps he'll be able to run compared to some of the other guys that's been drafting. Is he going to have to pit sooner than some of the other cars, or will he have some people to pit with him?
I think maybe around lap 32, Kevin Kyle's going to have to come down pit road if I'm estimating right. And if that's the case, he's got roughly 12 laps left to go. He's got to start thinking about getting to the bottom.
Yeah, that's where we might see this pack break up a little bit. Some of those guys that came down pit road and topped off their fuel to be able to run longer. So we'll see as these guys are approaching a car, a lockdown car.
Yeah, that's David Brenner there in the 22 up top, trying to stay out of the way. Always treacherous when a lap car shows up and you're too wide. These guys,
the speed difference definitely showed up there. Those guys are coming flying by, and you're on the outside, and you have the wall there. So you gotta stay out of the way. You did a good job.
Oh, Kevin Kyle almost getting sucked down into the 5. That side draft really playing a factor here.
I think that 971 might have fell back and maybe lost the draft.
Yeah, there's definitely two different packs here. If we go back towards, I think that's Fred Lester there in the 06 who's leading that pack, that second pack, just right behind Sam Ballard, who's trying to get back up to the lead pack himself. I think they're still in range to get up there. I think the 6 and the 00 can definitely get up to the 80 and use the 80 to get up to the lead pack. As the 6 kind of clipped the apron there just a bit.
Yeah, those lap times that Fred Lester you were talking about just ran a 47.56, and the leader ran a 48.57.
Well, Kevin Kyle did get to the bottom in front of Edward Peltz there in the 7. Now, Lance Durham in the 91 was one of those cars that pitted there on lap 7 with Chris Sargent there. So the outside row can go at least 7 laps more than the guys on the bottom. So you kind of see it there. The guys on the top can still go a little bit longer on fuel, so they don't really need to stress to get to the bottom. But I think this bottom row, they're just going to ride it out, let the cars on the outside do whatever they want to do. As Lance,
exactly.
Saw Lance Durham there drop down to the bottom, thinking, oh, I got the lead. Well, I don't think he realizes the cars behind him have to go down pit road before him.
Yeah, sometimes that doesn't matter. You just, you want to be able to get it there, get up to front and lead some laps. That's a great feeling when you're able to do it. It doesn't matter what track you're at.
Well, Fred Lester has caught up to the back of the field with Nate Maurer and everybody else, so they're not of a threat of losing this lead draft, or at least not at the moment.
Yeah, really good work sure that they did that and keep themselves in the hunt.
Third of the race down, we got 2/3 left. Only, I think, about 5 cars out of the race. Or actually, only 1 car out of the race. David Brenner, 7 laps down from that first wreck. So not too bad here at Daytona. But there's still a lot of race and a lot of cars still out on track. It almost looks like a snake there on that bottom lane.
Yeah, and as we start getting closer and closer to these guys, some of these guys having to pit, you know, that's the next thing that, you know, how you get on pit road. If there's a group of 4, 5, 6, 7 of you, you know, all it takes is 1 car to kind of, you know, miss their pit entry and their braking marker spot, and we could have some action on the apron coming to pit road.
Well, I'm going to say that the pit window is open now for 1 more stop to make it to the end. Not sure. I don't think you can have it only be a 1 stop there for the guys that pitted there on lap 7. So definitely those guys are going to have to stop again, but it's all about track position here at Daytona.
Yeah, and there's some radio chatter right now about maybe around lap 27 coming into pit. Yeah, this pit stop's going to be it's going to be crucial, right? Because you want to be able to come in together, everybody gets the same time, same pit time, and be able to leave together and stay in a pack and get back up to speed.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to come out pit road by yourself. That'll just be a one-way trip to the back of that line that catches you first. As David Owens moved up to that top lane, he's one of those guys that needs a pit before everybody else, but he was sitting in the draft, so maybe he's got a few laps extra. He's going to try and get in front of Edward Pelt, so definitely the move there for the 11.
Yep, hopefully it's just not 1 or 2 cars, you know, pitting.
No, and there goes Kevin Kyle all the way to the bottom. Chris Smith and Matthew Smith also involved. Will that bring out a yellow?
AJ spun off pit road.
I don't believe there was a yellow, so we are still green here in Daytona.
That's going to hurt those guys when they come back out, because they're not going to be together.
I can't really tell what all went down on entry of pit road. Maybe I can try and go back with Matthew Smith when he starts spinning. We saw AJ there spin there on that replay. But Chris Sargent, the 06 rookie this season, leading the field here at Daytona for another lap, followed by Paul Ferniani in that 44.
Some of these cars that just pitted, just now coming out, and AJ right there, this pack is just going to drive right by him.
Looks like Chris gave up the lead there to Paul. But now he's going to get freight trained by the inside line as David Owens now coming down pit road. Followed by all of Gulf Coast Racing, it seems like, and Stephen Neal as well. Morris Craven also coming down pit road.
Yeah, a much better organized guys here pitting and stuff, so they should come out in a pretty good pack.
AJ's in the middle of the hornet's nest in there, trying to get a lap back in case a yellow does come out.
Yeah, this group that did just hit, they're all coming out together. A little bit of separation between Owens and the 17.
I'll try and pull the track map up. See if we can see where those cars are. We see the 44 now going into turn number 2. And this field here just coming out of turn number 2. So we can kind of see it there on the back of the camera. Out by Kevin Kyle. So they'll have to get hooked up quick if they want a chance of having that track position when the rest of the leaders come down pit road.
Got Doug Deal and Nate Moyer pitting 2 cars by themselves.
Little bobble there from Nate getting on the pit road. Hopefully there wasn't any speeding there. I doubt there was. Those two coming down pit road. But it's still the 44 Paul Ferniani out front in the World Series of Poker car.
Yeah, Nate Moyer is moving, so no penalty on him for speeding.
I don't see any more takers down pit road this time by. I definitely expect the pit window to close here in about 4 more laps. I think in 4 laps time, the rest of the field's going to have to come down pit road. And as I'm looking at it now, the rest of the field, they're about 0.3 slower. As do we have a yellow on the racetrack? I'm not quite sure.
We have a yellow. Yes, we do.
Chris Smith crashing. Not sure what happened to Chris here. It's on the front straightaway. He gets loose in the tri-oval and just gets into the grass. Hard impact, almost airborne. That could have been almost bad. Not so hard into the inside wall. I thought it was coming, but just kind of glided against it. He's down there on the apron, in between the tri-oval and the start-finish line. So huge break for those cars that did not come down pit road. They get to keep that track position. I'm expecting maybe those guys that did come down pit road, maybe pitting again for fuel, just to try and get back on the same strategy.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're going to see guys, even if they pit, they're going to get extra fuel just to try and, like you said, get on the same strategy.
So AJ Bennett's going to be the lucky dog. He was sitting behind Paul Ferniani there before the yellow came out. That's going to set Edward Peltz, Matthew Smith, Chris Smith, who caused that last yellow, to be still 1 lap down. But the race is not over for them. There can definitely be another early yellow, and they can get their lap back. So it looks like pit road is open. We're going to see these cars come down pit road, get some fuel. Shouldn't see any tire changes, but it's never out of the possibility.
Yeah, if you're going to take tires, this is the good time to take it. You're under caution, so it wouldn't cost you a lot of time, a lot of positions. Still a lot of racing to go. So if I was to take tires, now would be the time to do it. Like you said, this is the track that generally you don't have to take tires.
So you can see all the action happening down on pit road.
Yeah, so Nate Moyer, same scenario with him. He's one of the trucks that pitted not that long ago, decided to come down and go ahead and top his fuel off.
So that's going to put Morris Craven in the 69 car as our leader. Morris there pitted on lap 29, along with Steve Lewis there in that second position. Those guys pitting 5 laps before the yellow came out. So they're going to lead the field to green here after Edward Peltz is going to try and get the wave around. So that's just going to leave Matthew Smith and Dennis Puckett as one lap down, while Chris Smith and David Brenner are multiple laps down. I think now's a good time to give a shout out to all our partners of the Bonfire Racing Network. And that was all our partners here at the Bonfire Racing Network.
We're gonna have to work on that for you, Jared. You deserve some sponsors.
Well, I have sponsors, just not for the broadcasting. As we see Barney the flagman there, as Edward Peltz and who else is that? Matthew Smith coming down pit road again. So they are not going to get the wave around. They're going to get some fuel and fight it amongst themselves for a lucky dog.
We got about 40 to go. 39 we come to the line. Not quite yet for intensity to build up, but as we get closer and closer to the finish, we expect to see some more exciting racing going on, more side drafting, more moves being made, people clearing themselves. So hang on, it's going to get more exciting.
Yeah, David, I'm showing maybe 37 when we go back racing, is what I'm showing on my side.
Yep, you are right.
I think it was 40 to go is what you were looking at.
Yep, that's what it is.
We got Morris Craven and Steve Lewis, new faces up front, with Paul Ferniani, who got the lucky break there early in the race and now is on that second row again with Grant McGivern in at 33. So that pace car is going to pull down off of pit road here shortly. So they're going to enter the Geico restart zone, wait for the last possible second. Barney Flagman going to wave them down. Green flag back up in the air here in Daytona.
Like the inside lane that's outnumbering the outside lane right now.
Yeah, that outside lane not really organized. As Paul Ferniani going to jump to the outside, try and take the lead of the race. As the newcomer tonight, Nicholas Rendo. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name. I'll get it right eventually. Just ask Ryan Twinham.
There's some radio chatter of somebody getting a black flag. I think it was Dennis Puckett announcing he's going to have to come down pit lane.
Yeah, Dennis with some right side damage there and missed his pit box, so that's going to be a lengthy penalty for the driver of the number 12,
Yeah,
Dunkin'
three wide.
Donuts.
3 wide and between Nate Moyer, the 69 and the 88 up front.
And David Owens trying to go with Nate Maurer. This is going to be bad.
A little bit of check up there as Nate made contact with the 69.
Yeah, Paul, you're going to want to clear that 69 and get to the bottom. That's going to be the safest place to be if this goes bad. I'm surprised they made it down the front straightaway.
Yeah, Morris is going to drop back because he didn't have anybody to push him, and he just got outnumbered 4 on top, and he was by himself on the bottom line.
Yeah, but here comes the 971 to the outside with David Owens for the race, the lead. This will be Nate's first laps led tonight.
Yeah, he was.
They
loose.
bumped.
Yeah, they got a little bit of a handful there.
I'm getting some race control message that Lance Durham went off the racetrack. I'm going to quickly go to a replay of that. He was down at the bottom of turn 3 and 4. See what all transpired there. Looks like Joe Amato almost a wreck at the back of the field. Lance Durham getting wrecked by Joe Amato and almost clipped the back of Fred Lester. Lance hitting that inside wall.
Just made contact with the outside wall. There was some contact there. A lot of blocking going on in the front.
Nate Maurer wanting that race lead. He's going to get back up in front of David Owens and have a shot here. Kevin Kyle looking 3 wide on Nicholas and Zach Engel.
Yeah, that move just picked him up 3 spots and rolling.
And he's still 3 wide, looking in the middle. Paul Ferniani and Sam Milliken. Almost a wreck again, 3 wide here at Daytona. Not like Talladega where you got enough breathing room to go 3 wide. It's a little bit tighter here in Daytona.
He is a man on a mission right now, trying to get back to the front. Picked up 3 spots right there in this lap, trying to make more.
Paul Ferniani went wide there through turn 3. That's going to slow down that outside line. Allow the 69 to close that gap. And it's almost like gambling here, David, at Daytona when a gap opens up on the bottom if you want to take it or not. It almost feels like anytime I try and go to the bottom, that outside lane starts moving.
Yeah, exactly. You think you're making the right call, the next thing you know, you go to the inside lane and the outside lane gets a run. So you're right. It's kind of like a crapshoot. It's like Doug Neal has pulled it behind the wall.
Doug Neal done for today. Chris Sargent down pit lane. Not sure what happened to Chris. Chris was having a really good day here. At Daytona was leading some laps early. But that's going to set Chris Sargent behind. And he's going to be a couple laps down now.
Yeah, definitely not the race that he was looking for and hoping for. You know, he had a strategy to try and make some friends at the beginning, and just didn't work out for him the way he hoped.
Well, I think he did solve part of that strategy he told us today, David, of keeping rubber side down on the racetrack. At the moment, I believe that's still the case. Not sure what happened to him. Looked like a normal pit stop to me. Maybe not. 43 seconds down pit road. Or in his pit box, so maybe some damage repair for the 06. As Nicholas, we see him keep dropping below that double yellow line. I think he's just losing track of where he's at on the racetrack. But here comes the 44, Paul, to the outside of David Owens. Not a big enough push yet to try and challenge for the lead.
Yeah, leader's going to be catching the number 12 and 37 pretty quick.
I believe those two are also, yeah, those guys are on the same lap, so they're actually racing for position. Both Dennis Puckett and Chris Smith there. Be interesting to see what happens here when the leaders catch them, as they're just now exiting the tri-oval. Draw on the back of Dennis Puckett. You see the field closing in like a pack of hungry sharks.
Yeah, this is going to be dicey watching them try to work their way around these guys at the different speeds that they're running.
As I think Kevin Kyle went for a 3-wide move. I think he thought better of it when he saw the lap traffic coming. But here's where you're... Yeah.
Up high out the way.
But I think here comes a run from the 44 on the outside of turn number 4. Built a lot of momentum there on that top lane. Paul not going to quite lead this lap.
Yeah, I think Paul could lead a lap if he came down a little bit more and got that side draft onto that 971.
And almost
Kevin Kyle on the 17 closing that gap up, so giving him a good push.
Yeah, and 17 being a teammate of David Owens, I almost thought he was holding back, not letting the blank car of Kevin Kyle to generate a run with Paul Ferniani. But not the case anymore. He's right on the bumper of Kevin Kyle.
Yeah, that might be a move to watch for. You know, that door of opportunity opens up for him to hook up with his teammate there. He might take it.
I think the only way for Paul to start side drafting is if Kevin Kyle starts moving lower and lower as well, to try and block from being put 3 wide or in a bad position.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Owens giving Nate a really good shove right here, getting some separation away from the 44.
Now that gives David Owens breathing room in case the 44 starts getting another run. David Owens can jump up to the top lane there and try and take the lead from Nate Maurer. David Owens defending race winner here in Daytona last season.
Leader coming up on the left-down car, 91, so we'll see which way they go. They got plenty of room to go up high.
Kevin Kyle has a spot open to the bottom if he wants to get behind Steve Lewis. Doesn't go for that move quite yet. I heard Kevin Kyle lift there on the entry of turn 3. Interesting strategy. Saves fuel, but I don't know about you, David, but what I try and do is I kind of drag the brake a little bit when I'm sitting behind another car to try and keep that RPM up, and so that if an opportunity did come around, I didn't have to wait for that RPM to catch back up to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the same thing I do. I'll just drag the brake a little bit. But, you know, if you are trying to, save fuel, you can crack that throttle a little bit, save a little bit of fuel. Maybe that's the strategy he's running with.
There'll be a third of the race left to go once they cross the start-finish line. It'll be 26 to go in the race. And still a lot of cars out on track and 2x2 action up front.
I'm actually a little impressed as the inside line, how well of a run they get out of the exits.
Well, let's try and go on board with Paul Ferniani. I'm going to try and go to his in-car.
Kevin there. Oh, almost had one there. Owen's got to name more of the bumper there. It upset the car on the entry, but good job of keeping it straight.
Name Howard, yeah, he's bailing out. What does Paul do here? Does he stay with Dave or Kevin Kyle? He's going to drop down in front of David Owens, get to that bottom line. As that's going to be a hard lift for the bottom lane, but here comes Sam Milken in the 17 to start helping Kevin Kyle out there in the 1. I think we're going to start seeing the side drafting here from Kevin Kyle.
Yeah, he has no problem going ahead and do the side draft. So yeah, I think we'll see a lot of that. And I think Namor just had enough of that push when he got a little bit loose there. And he decided not yet, not ready to push it that hard. So he's gonna go ahead and fall back a little bit. But he's in the draft, so he's in a good spot to work his way back up.
Well, I think we're going to start seeing some green flag pit stops in the closing laps here with around 15 to go. It's 24 to go now. So still a lot of fuel left in these cars. One person I'm looking at is Paul Ferdiani, who he's been late up front like Kevin Kyle last stint. Roughly 24 laps with that that tank of fuel. That's going to put him at 58, lap 58 when he's going to have to come down pit road.
That's a good point. And some of these guys, like David Owens, he's been following somebody this entire run, but he'll not be able to fit into a little bit longer.
As they're going to be approaching another lap car here. That's Chris Sturgeon. He's going to get out of the way and going to drop back.
Goes to the grass, so he was definitely way out the way. Had a little bit of contact there from 61 to 929.
Yeah, the 91 and the 929 have history this race. Lance Durham got spun off the front bumper of the 929 of Joseph Amato. So keep an eye on that. Well, we both know the rules here, David, with no intentionally wrecking or retaliation. But these drivers, they get hot-headed. They kind of forget that rule a couple of times every once in a while.
Yeah, one rule that does not exist is racing people hard, and so sometimes you might not try to wreck them, but you might race them hard. These drivers, they don't forget. They keep that in their minds, and when somebody races them, what they feel maybe unjust or unruly, that they'll remember that, and when they do race around you, they'll make it hard to pass. You gotta keep it PG.
Yeah, maybe not so much here at Daytona. It's kind of hard to race people hard here in Daytona, but I'm going to try and look to see where they're at next Tuesday. If I can find it. Looks like they're going to be going to Richmond, so plenty of chances of racing somebody hard there in Richmond.
Absolutely.
Kevin Kyle back to that point. Him and Sam Milken are clear. And I think Zach Engel also clear from that, but Sam Milken going to stay up top, leave Kevin Kyle out to dry. This is going to be a huge run for Paul, who lifts right when he gets to the rear bumper of Kevin Kyle.
Got the 69 coming down onto pit road, solo car, so that's going to hurt him. It's going to definitely hurt him when he comes back out. He's going to be all by himself and lose a lot of speed.
Yeah, that's Morris Craven there in the 69. I don't see him in any team chat, so I don't think he's on anybody's team per se. How about AJ Binish there in the 8th position, who spun there on pit road, got that wave around, or that lucky dog there on that last caution. Up there into the top 10 now.
Yeah, he's doing a good job staying with the pack and going through all the adversity stuff. Like I said, almost going a lap down, but was able to save that from happening, and still, like I said, up there in the top 10. Still keeping himself in the fight. We got more cars, more trucks calling out to coming to be pit road this time.
And who would that be, David, if I don't mind asking?
I missed the number, so as soon as I see him pull off, I will let you know. I'll keep an eye out for it now.
Alrighty.
All right, so the 88 is now pulling down pit road. It looks like
The 6 as well. Oh, the 88 spinning out. That's hard contact with the wall. Hopefully that doesn't bring out a yellow, but that steering definitely doesn't look right on that left front. But it's definitely go time for green flag pit stops. Steve Lewis trying to get he jumped the 8 ball there, but didn't work out quite as well for him. We'll see who else comes down pit road. Don't see anybody else looking to pit road this time by.
Looks like no takers. Looks like leader just called out. Leader and so Kevin Call and Paul have just called out. So they got about 3 more laps of fuel left.
So that would put them at like 14 to go, David. So it's going to definitely come down to the biggest group that comes down pit road, and if you can stay with them, I think that's where the race will be at.
Yeah, looks like we got some takers here. Looks like it's gonna be at least 3 cars or 3 trucks pitting this time.
Matthew Smith trying to get one of his laps back in the 96. Going to put him 3 wide with Morris Craven and Fred Lester.
Kevin Kyle calling out it'll be pitting this time. So we should see Kevin Kyle, the 44 and the 33 pitting this time.
It's going to be vital. You see David Owens looking to the top lane. We know he's not going to pit this time. See what AJ Benish does in the 5 if he goes with the 1 and the 44. But I think AJ saved a good amount of fuel. He can kind of wait with David Owens. Here they come. AJ is going to come down pit road, and it's a big group coming down pit road. This could be it for the race win. Oh, Paul's going to lock him up. He's going to block Pim Luth there. Matt Schofield also spinning off pit road there as well. A lot of cars spinning out there. A little too much brake bias set to the rear.
Yeah, sometimes you're just trying to brake as late as possible.
Oh, and, did Kevin Kyle miss it? Kevin Kyle missed his pit box.
Oh, no, that's definitely going to cost some time there. It's going to separate that pack out. You know, all those little mistakes there is going to separate that pack out.
David Owens, Stephen Neal, Sam Milliken. I'll see when they come down pit road. Looks like they're going to come down pit road now. David Owens leading them down. But Matthew Smith going to stay out.
2 spinners on pit road.
Yeah, that's Sam Milliken and Stephen Neal. Both those guys spun out, so that's going to break it down into maybe 4 cars in this second pack. We'll have to see. As we jumped on board with AJ there, we heard him grab a gear, so he's still grounding up through the gears. As we pull the track map up, it's going to be AJ and Nate Maurer going to be leading here if they can get in front of the 11 as they start to come out of pit road. So they are going to take over this race lead, I believe. I think that's going to be close, though. We see him passing David Owens, so I'm not sure. Slow stop for David Owens, possibly. Yeah, it was a 15.48, so he took all 4 tires, it seems like. Maybe a mistake there for the 11. But the 5 up front with Nate Maurer in the 971. Jack Duval sitting in 3rd, followed by Joseph Amato in the 929, and Zach Engel, your top 5.
Yeah, I'm watching David Owens pit. He didn't overshoot his box. I'm not really sure what issue he had.
I think he took all 4 tires. A 15-second stop is usually a 4-tire stop here, David, in the trucks. I could be wrong. Not sure what happened there. I'm sure we'll find out at a later time.
Yeah, just a quick review. Looks like he took left side tires. Like you said, you'd think that all four tire changes would take a much longer pit stop. But yeah, we'll see if he can work his way back up, and 13 to go. See where he ends up at the end of the race.
Not quite over for Gulf Coast Racing, sitting third, fourth, and fifth. They're second behind the leaders, and the leaders have traffic in front of them, so they will be closing in quickly. I think the only hope for everybody else is that these guys wreck battling each other. What does Nate Maurer do? Does he try and go up and block the run? Try and slow him down just a bit.
Looks like he's going to stay committed.
Jax Duvall in the 84 up front with 12 to go. Gulf Coast taking over the lead of the race here in Daytona. But what can AJ and Nate Maurer do against those three cars that are committed to each other?
Yeah, it looks like Nate was trying to, give AJ a signal that he wanted to go high, but no takers.
Huge pack behind them. See if they can close up. Last lap, I think it was 3 seconds. They've at least closed 3/10 this lap. So it might come down to the bitter end. And if that group does show up, where do these guys go?
Yeah, if they do catch up to this group, then it's going to be an exciting finish because, there will be no teammates with 2 to go, right? Everyone's going to be going for the win themselves. So if they do catch up, as we see Nate working on the outside now, but no friends with Nate on the outside line. So it's going to be hard for him to make any grounds as he works the side draft.
Yeah, I'm looking at Sam Ballard there in the 80 as somebody that could possibly come up and steal one here early.
You got AJ now working with Nate. So we've got 4 cars up top, 3 cars on the bottom line.
And that's Matthew Smith on the outside. That's actually, he's teammates with Dennis Puckett there, who is a couple laps down, but also AJ Binish there. So Matthew Smith might be trying to play a factor here in Daytona.
Now, if you want to see how the side draft really affects it, keep an eye on Nate Moyer. He is really working that side draft in the corners and gaining ground on it.
Three versus 3. Zach Engel there in the 47. He's teammates with David Owens, so it's going to be 3 on 4, I believe. But Sam Ballard making up time. The gap's 1.8 behind Jax Duvall. Sam Ballard just did the fastest lap for himself, a 46.92. The leaders, Jax Duvall, did a 47.5. So that is a huge amount of lap time to be gained on one singular. Oh, they bumped. Joe Amato bumped Nate Maurer there.
Yeah, he's been flirting with that yellow line, and I think that kind of shot him up a little bit.
Almost looked like the wreck between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison back in 1979 with those two bumping down the back straightaway. 7 to go here in Daytona. Jackson Ball still up front. AJ, I think, bumped David Owens there. So, and here comes Sam Ballard in the 80. He's caught up. And Chris Morrill there.
Get more trucks involved in here. They're gonna have an impact on these lines, right? If they go inside or outside lines. So it's gonna be interesting to see who they decide to work with. Could be the difference maker and who walks away with the win.
That outside lane kind of faded back after that contact. But most of the cars there on the bottom, that's going to help out this bottom row.
Yeah, definitely. The numbers have been favoring the inside line. Outside line still doing a good job of working that side draft to stay close, but they're going to need more trucks up on top line to make this work.
Yeah, that outside line went really wide there through corner number 1. That's going to send him back on some time. I only see 4 cars up there at the top. Huge shove from the 929 to his teammate. That outside line starting to get a little bit organized. Lance Durham going up there. Take that contact with Joseph Amato. He does not want Joe's team to win, I think. Somebody who's kind of snuck up, who's been quiet all night, the 50 of Chris Morrill there. We haven't said much about Chris, but here he is at the end of the race in that 8th position. He's up there on that top lane.
Yeah, the 929 just got moved out the way by 971 by Nate Boyer. Just moved him out the way there. And now he's in the sucker hole.
It's down to the bottom. Matthew Smith there, stuck 3 wide. That's going to hurt that top lane.
Yeah, we got now 4 to go, so I think this bump drafting is going to get more and more aggressive from here on out.
Yeah, I can kind of feel the stress level throughout the field. I remember when Talladega was the championship race, and that had everything on the table for some of these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those tracks that anybody can win, and you want to win it, right? It's one of those iconic tracks, and so these guys are going to give it everything they got. A lot of bump drafting going on. Going to be a lot of side drafting going on, and you're going to have a teammate that you think is going to stick with you that's just going to dip out and try and get for that win. So we're going to see a lot of movement going on.
3 to go here in Daytona. It's winding down. That outside line not making any ground here. There's got to be a bobble with those top 3 cars for this outside lane to have a shot. Joseph Amato making the move to the outside. Is he going to try and hold back this outside row? Doesn't look like it. 929 to the lead with 2 laps here to go. Does Nate try and bait him and try and put him back in the middle again?
Yeah, and you would think the 929 would kind of keep that in the back of his mind, but it's already happened to him once. So we'll see if he's driving more out of his mirror or out of his windshield.
Out of turn number 4, the front row is going to see that white flag. It's going to be the last-ditch effort for somebody to try and win this race from the second row on back. White flag up in the air, 1 to go here in Daytona. Whatever happens now is official. Joseph Amato up front, clear of the 84, but does he stay there? He's going to slide down to the bottom. No, he stays up top. He blocks it. into the field. This is a race for the top spot. Oh, they bump. They're still bumping. Jax Duvall up front. David Owens spinning. Now it's just up to Sam Ballard in the 80. I don't think he can get there.
Yeah, these guys might get a run on them.
Down into the tri-oval. It's been everything for Jax Duvall. He's going to win here in Daytona. Sam Ballard going to finish second, followed by Nicholas Orendo, Chris Morrill in that fourth spot, and Sam Milliken in that final top 5 position. Kevin Kyle going to come home 6th.
Nice job to survive by Jack there, getting that win on the Daytona track, keeping it clean, fireworks going off. Time to celebrate.
And I wonder what's going on within that chat. We see David Owens there. He's not going to finish this race. He's sitting down there in the infield. What the team is going to have to say there, because it just became a fight within themselves there at the end after Nate Maurer starts spinning out and AJ getting into the field there. But it is all Jax Duvall there in the 84. I believe this is his first win in the Bonfire Big Truckin' Tuesdays as well, so it's a week of first-time winners, I believe.
I think you're right on that, and he's going to start burning it down here at the finish line.
Such a hard place to do a donut with the banking there in the tri-oval.
So Jared, once again, this track here just lived up to the expectations coming down to the final laps. Everybody going for it, side drafting, bump drafting, jogging for position, and we saw some last lap, wrecks. Everything you expect to see, we got it here at the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna actually go and look to see what happened there on that final lap, if I can. So Nate got loose there out of corner number 2. It kind of just all unfolded there. And then David Owens trying to hold on to it. Sam Ballard getting into the back of him. And it kind of just all unfolded there. And Sam Ballard not really in the draft there coming down to the line. I think maybe if he was down there on the bottom, he could have had a chance. But overall, what a win for Jax Duvall, as we're going to pull up the results here for the rest of the race. Kevin Kyle coming home 6th, like we said earlier. Morris Craven in the 69 in 7th. Paul Ferdiani, after trouble early in the race, he's going to come back and finish 8th. AJ Binish finishing 9th. He was involved in that last wreck. And Graham McGivern in the 33 in that 10th spot. Nate Maurer, Zach Engel, Joseph Amato, David Owens, and Matthew Smith rounding out your top 15. Followed by Pim Luth, Matt Schofield, Lance Durham, and Edward Peltz. As we see the pace car down there on pit road on our scenic cam. And I don't think there's any drivers waiting to be interviewed, David. So, David, any final thoughts here? We do have Jax. So, actually, David, we're going to push you aside for once, and we're going to let the race winner, Jax Duvall, speak. Jax, you survived a crazy finish there at the end. I'm kind of curious what was going on in the team chat during that whole fight down the back straightaway almost. It looked like a civil war back there. What are your thoughts there coming down to the final lap?
Well, I would have been happy if Joe would have won. Either way, we wanted to control both lanes. Just didn't turn out that way. Unfortunately, I feel bad about that. Getting into Joe, when all the chaos happened, I'm review driving at that point. Had no idea he was beside me. Stuck him in the wall. But if any of them would have won, I would have been totally happy.
Well, I believe this is your first win in the Bonfire Big Truckin' Tuesdays. I could be wrong. I'm not quite sure on that. Um,
It might be,
but
but no, I wanna win by racing it out. And my apologies to Amato. He is a teammate. He's a good teammate. Owens was pushing really good there, and review driving chaos behind me, lost track.
well, overall, it was one heck of a finish there. We didn't know what was going to happen, and you survived there at the end to bring home and lift the cup there here at Daytona. Any final thoughts as you kind of digest this win? Is there anything else you want to say to any of your sponsors or partners?
Thank you for PRS Premier Setup Shop, giving me great setups every single week at the track, and let's go get another one.
Well, good luck to you. And I'm sure a lot of these drivers are going to throw it to the back shelf and look forward to Richmond Raceway next week. Um, but until then, I believe there's going to be Sunday night racing or Sunday morning racing here on Bonfire. I'll be in Wisconsin, so I won't be broadcasting that one live, but I might try and get the replay. And who knows, maybe I can convince somebody to join me that time or by. Maybe get another voice. But David, it was awesome to have you in the booth. Someone great to talk to, and especially somebody from your driving caliber, two-time Premier Cup champion. You definitely brought a lot to the table. Any final thoughts from you, as I believe this is your first broadcast that you've done?
Yeah, I think once again, I appreciate you letting me join you up here. It's a lot of fun to watch these guys race. A lot of really good race car drivers in here, so appreciate you letting me join you. And Jax, congratulations on that win. Way to survive and get that victory. Um, yeah, Jared. So again, I wanted to say shout out to this league here. If you guys are looking for a good, fun league to join and really competitive, check out the Truck League. Check out the Cup League. Really good group of guys. And Jared, thanks for letting me join you. Hopefully we can do this again.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the next race at Richmond. We go from the super speedway to the short track in Richmond, Virginia. And we saw a little bit of tempers flaring here in the race. Maybe some of that will transfer over to the short track, but I'm sure it's going to put on a show. And I believe Sunday morning, you guys are at an intermediate, I believe. Or no, you guys are at Iowa. So almost the exact same racetrack, just a little bit more character for those guys on Sunday morning. But once again, I'm Jared the Showboat Kelly, going to be closing out here at the Bonfire Racing Network. Hope you guys have a good rest of your week. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next following races. But until then, peace out. And I'm done.
Nice.
Good job, brother. I can't wait to go rewatch that one.
It's